ReCAP is all about responses.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just simply read the news and gave our opinions, and people who watched the whole video agreed with us. People who watched 5 minutes saw the title and seemed to be the loudest on our comment section.
Well, that's how it always goes. That's how it always goes. It's very easy to not spend time investigating and, shit talk and trash. That's what we got called, called out for doing, I guess.
Yeah.
By people who apparently were doing the same thing, maybe.
What's great is that they don't really know our background. They just saw the title. We are game developers, indie developers, and they felt like we're ganging up indie developers when we literally spent the last month for 3 days straight celebrating indie developers.
I'll say this, even in regards to people thinking we're out of touch on this issue specifically, everything that we based our commentary on were things that came from people who were representing the company at the time. Obviously, the two artists who did their interview, everything that they say, we are supposed to take it as, okay, well, they work at that company and they said this got published, printed. I'm going to believe what they're saying is more true than speculation that comes from people who don't work at that studio.
Yeah. And these are comments straight from their mouths. Mm-hmm. And they even came back to say, we fucked up.
They had to do some cleanup. Literally the next day.
Yeah. I mean, we understand being a smaller team. And in this case, I felt like action would have kept them. It would have kept them out of the press.
Okay.
Right? It wasn't because of the toxicity that really blew up the game. Mm-hmm. That happens in every game. Mm-hmm. It's the action that they took that kind of sided on a position that was with the bullies that people were like, all right, clearly you're making a stand on this controversy.
So to have one group fighting another group, right? And let's say you're the person who's supposed to be like a referee in that scenario.
Yes. And
when I say fighting, I mean like one group is like really like attacking another group. I'll say it like that. One group is attacking, one group is defending. If you do nothing because you say like, I don't want to affect or I don't want to alienate, then you're making it easier for the attacking group to attack. You're making it harder for the defending group to simply just exist, because in order for them to exist, they have to endure, the toxicity, the harassment, or the things that are happening to them that is ruining their gameplay experience. So doing nothing in a scenario where somebody's being bullied or somebody's being pressured or somebody's being attacked means you're making it harder for the person who's not doing any attacking, and you're making it easier for the person who is doing attacking.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people that had issues just simply didn't read the whole article. Mm-hmm. They just saw the idea like a European medieval time game, including minorities after the fact. No, there were avatars that was being made by players that represented their skin color, and they were getting attacked. Mm-hmm. And so the solution after that was to take them out. Mm-hmm. That was the issue. Mm-hmm. It wasn't because they just had all whites from the beginning of the game. Yeah. And then people were like, hey, you got to be more inclusive and allow more Asian minorities to be in the... No, that wasn't the case. It was because custom avatars that was already in the game was being filtered out after toxicity was happening and they were siding with the bully. That's the main issue. Yeah, and you idiots.
I feel like it's also even like if you look at it as two different things, right? Like I'll say the community toxicity probably was going to exist, even without the art problem, you know what I mean? Because there's a people problem and then there's an art problem. But because there was an art problem that like kind of helped racist people apparently like be empowered, like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. They're like, oh, let me do this. Let me do that. That's where they're starting to see some amplification because one actually kind of was fueling the other. Because let's just say all the people were blue, green, yellow, and purple, but still the same gameplay mechanics, right? Still the same combat, same everything. I think the game would still be fun. Sure, the desired realism might be a couple steps down, significantly even, but the gameplay experience would still be there. I would imagine you would still have an unpoliced community. So, of course, you're going to have criminals running rampant because that's what happens. Yeah. That's what happens. Imagine if there was no laws in America. You saw The Purge. Right. Imagine they're like, oh, no laws today. You think civilization is going to occur as it currently does, where people are working within the confines of law, jurisdiction, due process, trials, going to jail, crime punishment, all that stuff? Mm-hmm. As soon as you tell somebody like, hey, no laws, it brings out the worst because they have an opportunity to be the worst and not get punished. Mm-hmm. And so I would say regardless of like the other issue with the art having, racial undertones or pulling in or pulling out avatars that represent different communities, because you have an unpoliced open forum, you're inviting the best and the worst.
Yes. Yeah. And again, I'm just reiterating what I said before. If the developers had just stood back and just let toxicity happen and just not take a side, they would have been in a better position, and the crazy press wouldn't have worked against them. We wouldn't be commenting on them. It wasn't until they responded in the way that they did by having a filter button that they're taking out, by the way, by pressure, but hopefully understanding that it wasn't the right call.
Yeah.
So at least that's the reason why everyone is responding in a negative way. It's not because everyone's promoting them to have Asians in European battles here.
Based on what I'm seeing there is like, I think they have a decent amount of competent game developers, obviously, because the game came out, the game looks good, and the game is fun to play. What I feel like they have is a lack of like PR leadership or PR understanding. This is probably the first time their company has been in such a spotlight. Again, I openly admit, like, this is my first time knowing about them, their production team, and who's actually working on this product. So I don't know their whole lineage. But just from where I stand and how I see them responding or handling questions or the slip ups that seem to be happening that they have to course correct for, it didn't seem like they were prepared for any sort of like media plan or like, hey, here's how we're going to communicate. Here are our major stances as a company. Here's what we're always going to stand on. And here's what we're going to, try to eradicate in regards to how we do things, how we're going to fix things. Right. And so to say, hey, everyone, you know what? We hear all these things are wrong, but we're just going to leave it in the players' hands. That's not a great way to kind of handle a situation like that. To expect that your community is going to police itself that never works. That never works, because that's when you go down to primitive, like survival of the fittest, biggest stick, baddest fighter is usually king, because no one can thwart the authority. And you get 2 or 3 people in a group, especially a very vocal, polarized community on issues of racial bias, racial tensions, and you let them know that they can get away with doing and saying the things that they can't say or do to people anywhere else in this forum and be protected because there is no protection. I mean, you're gonna see what happens. And so that's where I guess I still give them shit, is like, you can't take like a Switzerland stance on, we're going to be a racist vocal group, and we're going to be a group of people who want to play a game without having racist vocalizations or racist experiences or racist, things pointed at me, even if it's not directed at me, but because you're engaging in like types of behavior that involve like making fun of a race or a community that I belong to or a demographic that I belong to. That is a racial experience. That is a threat against me.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look.
And I'm speaking generally when I say me. Right. Yeah.
Let's talk specifically, right?
Sure.
And so we're reading an article from Kotaku, right? Everybody out there who are hating on this topic, and this is a legitimate press outlet here. So this is a response. So they are backtracking from the gender and race filters, right? That's a step towards a better understanding of the issue.
And it seemed like real quick that they're kind of course correcting on something that was said publicly that was not actually the case. The way that the gentleman was cleaning it up was like, the artist made some statements that wasn't entirely true, and it wasn't based on what our development plans were, and the context was changed. Yeah. Right. So they're saying it's not that, we wanted to have like this race thing where we were going to do this or do that. It's that we had actually planned it as a feature in a way to make it more accessible. Like, this is what he's saying. But because of how it was said, it came off as it being like something that was going to whitewash everything. Right. And so that was an accident, like a slip in a statement, not necessarily like a planned feature. So I'll accept that. Okay, cool. No problem. Then they move down into saying that like, hey, we're also very stretched thin. And so a lot of us wanting to police is just not going to happen because we don't have the resources, we don't have the time, or we don't have the, I guess we don't have the plan in place and the means to actually be able to do X, Y, and Z to police the community or to create like that safe haven that people are asking for. And so because of that, we're not going to. We can't. We have plans. We have things that we want to do, but currently we're stretched very thin. We're a small studio. And that's exactly what we said actually in our video the day before. I was like, yeah, I bet they're a small studio. They don't have X, Y, and Z to be able to do X, Y, and Z. I literally...
The haters didn't get to...
They didn't get to the part where we're like...
They saw the title. They saw 2 minorities. Like, these guys want feudal samurais in the game. It's like, that's not what we want, dude. Yeah. So, I mean, the article just goes through exactly what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's a growing issue, not just with this game about player behavior, including racism, sexism, homophobia. This is just across all games.
Yeah, that's not new.
That's not new. And that's not what we're criticizing. And that's not what we're pushing. Of course, we want to have everybody play nicely with each other and just enjoy the gaming experience without feeling outed and having to leave the game that they love to play. I mean, that's the issue that the developers are facing now.
Mm-hmm.
And it is with their best interest to kind of please their player base.
Yeah.
All right. The historical accuracy was thrown out the window as soon as they let you create your own avatar and include whatever race you want. Right? That is part of the feature. It isn't, if they came out and say, everybody, you can't create anything but just armor or other vanity things, that's a different feature. Well, that's clear as day. It's like, then here you go.
Yeah.
It was a decision to be inclusive at the beginning and then suddenly take that away. That was very controversial because now you're siding with bullies, which is the main issue of your game right now. And this isn't helping them selling more copies, right?
And it's so laughable that it's like such an issue to me. You know what I mean? Like if you want historical accuracy in a video game, point to one where that game got it 100% right. As a modern game that is obviously trying to sell as many copies as possible, you can go to the History Channel for historical accuracy and you can watch a movie that's a documentary based on a situation or based on a period of time. But I bet even then, you're never going to find like a pure one-sided situation. You're going to see like examples. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Yep. There it is. California earthquake. That's dope. Feels like your house is on water. No, let's keep going. Professional. The video people can't tell it's an earthquake.
I'm saying it's dope. If it's
no, that's actually
that was a long.
No, that's actually all the people mad at our YouTube video marching up to the door.
all the haters are at my house. So going forward, right? We covered this, right? The controversial thing when the guy is definitely getting yelled at by everybody right now. Even their internal team is like, "What are you doing? What are you saying?"
Yeah.
They're hesitant to put a word filter because they're afraid that it might take out.
Yeah.
It's taking out words. Got my assistant just telling me. The official stance is that they don't want to include a word filter was because they were afraid that it would take innocent word.
Now that was the one. That's like my remaining. Okay, you still didn't clean this one up, right? Right. To say that like we don't want to put a word filter in because there's 2 things. 1, it's going to be useless because people are going to find a way around it, and 2, it's going to catch innocent words. Come on, like you have engineers that just made a video game to this level. You mean to tell me that you can't parse text and identify certain strings and either replace them, right, with a different word or replace them with asterisk characters or something like that? You mean to tell me that everything that I've seen you guys do in your game is thwarted because you guys scratch your head at the idea that, wow, you can't tell the difference between the F word and fun.
Yeah.
You can't tell the difference between a slur and a slang or something else. Like, come on, you can at least do the words that you know for sure that you don't want to have said. If they find a way around it, that's fine. But you at least are showing to the public that you give a shit. That you're
creating a fun playing field for everybody, and you're fighting against toxicity, which has never helped a game.
No.
As developers, you should understand that, and we are developers, right?
Yeah.
I think we're getting big enough that people don't know us.
They're finding us. These 2 guys have a microphone.
They're nowhere. Look, they don't understand anything about game development.
Go to LinkedIn.com.
You can check us.
Type my name, Larry Charles Jr., or type Brandon Pham. You can see the resume. You can see
other podcasts. podcast. If you want to hate on us, you can hate on us.
We've been here. We've put in the work. I'm working on my 13th year as a game developer,
which is great.
Not as a I downloaded Unreal and I'm making stuff in my house. As in I've been receiving a paycheck to develop games across mobile, console, PC.
Yeah. So as a designer,
sure,
you can understand and see, because this is more. I would even say PR marketing is second, right? Developers, designers especially, are the first to say, hey, this is not going to go well, right? There's an internal discussion before marketing and PR comes in. It's like, what's our message?
Before anything becomes a feature, it's first an idea, then a plan.
Exactly.
Then an execution, and implementation. I guess about the same. Then a release.
Trying to kind of cover their ass.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what he says is kind of thinking on the fly. It isn't like a full team statement saying no. Even if it is, that's even worse. An internal development team deciding that a world filter would actually negate more players because it might catch fun instead of fuck, right? It's like, seriously.
Come on, man.
Yeah, come on. It's just
you can't win with that one.
Development side, I don't know if it's still a young team where they're. I have to kind of mix it between either a really young team and a very foreign team, right? That don't have this type of issue as much, or at least it doesn't weigh heavily on them in their country.
Bro, we're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
Right.
It's EA tried this shit at Parliament. This isn't a loot box. This is a surprise mechanic.
Yes.
I mean, come on. It's two different things.
I know, but even EA is at least more creative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They boil it down to two marketable words.
Sure.
Instead of over-explaining themselves to nothing.
I'm a people person.
I'm a people person.
I talk to the people so that the programmers don't have to.
So minimal PR experience and ended up answering some of the questions in a misleading way, which combined with a lack of context led to some very controversial statements. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
This dude is in hot one. This is why you need a PR person to deal with press. That would have been
I would say
nice spending.
I imagine they've sold enough copies of the game that they could afford to at least have somebody professionally handle the situation that they're in right now, because for 2 days in a row, they've been a major talking point across the industry.
Well, let me paint a picture, right? You're not a PR marketing person. I'm going to ask you this question.
Sure.
Hey, there's a lot of people in your forums, in your game, that are pushing minorities, gender, females, causing a lot of issues. What is your response?
Wow. If this is the first time that I'm hearing of this, which isn't, right? But I'm just gonna play the best. I'm gonna remove me personally, and I'm gonna do this. Right? Okay, thank you for bringing this to my attention. We've actually seen some of this before, and we put some plans in place that we're about ready to execute on. Secondly, I do want to apologize to everyone in the audience who is going through this. Understand we're a small team. We are trying to get it together, but we want everyone to have fun in our game. So if anybody's being victimized, marginalized, or hated on inside of our game, it's actually one of our primary important things that we will have to solve from here moving forward.
Yeah.
Previously, we've been concentrating on just making the best game, delivering great content, and we think that we've achieved that. Now that the game is out and we're seeing how the community is reacting to it, we are noticing that there are things that we could possibly push on more. So I will say this, we are committed to making sure that we do that. So that's where we're going to execute looking forward.
Nice burrito bullshit. That I can buy into. The sides of the developers, the press is on your side. Yeah, we can understand you're a small team. You're working on it. Cool. And then the haters or the people who are being attacked just wait alongside and be, all right, I mean, that pleases my side of the story as well. You're pleasing everybody with that saying without saying anything.
I was going to say, you want to know the trick about, not the trick, but the beauty of what I just said was there was nothing that was committed to a date, to a time, and nothing explicitly named that was said that how we're going to fix it or what we're doing to address it. I just said, we know it, we will address it, and we're looking at it moving forward and we're committing to it. Yeah. But what is it? Right? What are the action items? Exactly. I'm still giving my company
nothing, because we're in the development team. What the fuck?
I wouldn't have said nothing, but I mean, I'm giving my team a chance to be able to do something to give us some protection and acknowledge that yes, there is a situation we need to handle, which is first what people want to hear, and two, we are going to handle it. So then people will be like, okay, cool. You've got some runway now to figure this out.
Yeah, and the response is, of course, saying in regards to community toxicity, don't have the prior experience managing communities of the size, nor the manpower resources that established studios can leverage. See, he's just talking too much. Like, we don't need to know any of that.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't need to go into specifics. You could have said what you just said and be able to handle this behind closed doors, as it should, right? You're giving out pretty much, we thought through this, we saw the problem, we're doing nothing. Like, you, on one paragraph, it's like, give your team a chance. You could have just let it die down and then slowly roll out patches to fix the issues and then not have all this like attention towards your game in a bad way.
Here, I've got a great scenario for you, right? Nike sells shoes, right?
Yeah.
There's a female runner, and I don't even want to do female, but it's very easy for this example because you actually hear about this kind of stuff. This is Central Park. There's a female runner. She bought her brand new Nike shoes, and she goes running through Central Park all the time, right? She loves running in Central Park. One day, she gets attacked by, let's just say, some sort of predator. I'm not going to give many descriptions to this predator because I don't want to put anybody down. But that predator also wears Nike shoes because that predator was like, this is the best way for me to catch my victims. These are the best shoes. They're the lightest. They're whatever. So now the story breaks that this female was attacked in Central Park by a predator. They're both wearing Nike shoes. Nike comes out and says, you know, we kind of just want to leave it in the hands of the people who buy our shoes. Oh, you know what I mean? Exactly. Like, wait, like, no.
Yeah, you got to copy what the big guys are doing. The big guys are responding in ways where, like, they're on the issue. You want to be all inclusive. Yeah. That's the way you make money. They've done all the studies. They looked at the fuck you guys handle it yourself avenue, and they're like, we're not making money.
Hell no.
And so they went with the general response, we're working on this, we'll get back to you later. And that's what everybody does, not just companies, but like athletes, anybody who's accused of anything. We're working on this.
Yeah. So, you know, in that scenario, Nike obviously is I don't want to step in their shoes, but I would imagine based on what I've seen, they'd be like, hey, we've, you know, gone to the hospital. We've like talked with the family. We're putting money towards helping victims in a similar situation and doing all these things that kind of like help build their brand up and show that they're showing solidarity and supporting this person who went through like a tragic experience. They don't also then say, you know, and this predator over here also wearing Nike, so we're going to do this and that for them. You don't hear shit. Yeah. They help who needs to be helped. Yeah. They stand on who should be stood on and say, this is where we're putting our time and attention, and that works because that's the right thing to do.
Yes.
And that's why I laugh when I hear somebody like clearly see like two opposing sides. Yeah. Morality leads me to say that one side is probably the side that you should support. Yeah. Like, I don't have any reason to support side B or side A. Yeah. To be like, oh, but they both buy what we make.
Yeah.
This is so tough.
It shouldn't be a hard choice. No one's gonna side with people that are just shitting on other people like bullies. I mean, you look at every movie. There's never a movie in entertainment history that follows the bully's life and then just see him beating people. And then that's
some about that O'Doyle family. Like they rule. I want them to win.
No one's rooting for that guy. So, I mean, if anybody, even if you're in a foreign country, even if you're a small team with small resources, you should have kept it behind closed doors. Gave a public statement, be general, and say we're working on this. And you don't have to lie, but you are working on this. But going into specifics, said, hey, we look actually at all scenarios and we concluded that doing nothing is the best way. It's never good PR, ever.
Even if that was your standpoint, right? If that's how you plan on delivering the message, it's like the biggest take a turd on the victim's chest. Like, oh, dang, you just got attacked? Hold on a second, lay right there. Now that we got that out of the way, we can get back to business.
Well, let's go with the article because this reflects to a lot of our comments on our.
Okay, yeah. So let's put ourselves on the hot button.
Well, we'll go back to ours in a sec, but this generalizes pretty much everybody's feelings on this. You know, a lot of the subreddits on the game, players are debating the merits of Chanernion's. I need to change that name. Statement.
Is there? Okay.
Several are defending the developers, citing how small they are, or their aversion to mass censorship. Just minor censorship.
And yeah, they haven't taken out every word. They're taking out the words they're taking a stand on words that should not be said in their games and forums.
It shouldn't.
There's and even still, right? You could have the option to not play with that. You know what I mean? Like they're, as much as they say they're toggling the option of doing like gender stuff or minority based stuff or whatever. Yeah. You could also say like, hey, do you want to play with language filter on or off? Yeah. Because all the games I know that have public communities have at least done that much. Yeah. I think a team of 11 people that made the game that they made. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, I could go write the C++ for you to have that feature installed if you really wanted me to. I'm not even joking.
All right, yeah. Others are citing how it doesn't take a huge team. It's usually one guy that does a word filter. Yeah. All right. Others are citing how strange it is for players to complain that women might be added to a game where frying pans do more damage than pitchforks.
Oh my God, that's the believability, Brandon.
Oh my God.
The historical accuracy is of utmost importance.
Cool off, man. I didn't know the History Channel was making this game.
Oh, man.
What? Like, would you rather have more players in the server or less players? Yeah. Do you like hanging around with dicks all the time? It ruins the experience if you're seeing in the chat room just hate. I mean, doesn't that affect a player?
I'll never play a video game that's not real.
Yeah, man. There's a certain point, even with me, like, even if it doesn't directly point to me in a game where it's just hate, and just negative language.
Dude.
I just turn it off.
I don't go to the movies to watch.
I'm just trying to play a game, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a video game, right? Like we're selling a piece of a fantasy. And it's an all-inclusive fantasy. I would say, sure, the art has to do with immersion. The sound has to do with immersion. But the combat, the gameplay mechanics, the decisions, the dialogue, sure, a lot of that all adds up to one game experience that I'm either going to enjoy or not enjoy. But I definitely know that if the server is like, oh, only 14 people now, like the life of this game has died because 70% of the customers have quit.
You idiots.
You know what I mean?
Don't support everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want just this same thing, same types of people, your game, look, if they're going to sell copies because of this controversy, there's a lot more people, believe me, that's not going to support them than support them.
Yeah.
This game and the servers are going to be gone.
Yeah.
You're not going to have your game anymore. And if you are the very few that are playing in servers, it's going to be the most hateful people in the world for no reason.
Yeah.
And is that going to be an enjoyable experience for you?
And people
That's not how game development works, guys.
People hanging on to realism and accuracy and all those things are the people I don't want to watch movies with.
Weird.
Because
I've never played any game that needs to be super accurate for me to enjoy the game.
Well,
it's all about gameplay.
That mindset in general is stupid because let entertainment be entertaining. You know what I mean? Like you go to Fast and the Furious with that guy. Oh my God, that car actually only tops out at 120. There's no way the suspension would handle it jumping through that building. Yeah. There's no way that the truck is actually that high because realistically, the amount of drag that is added on to the...
Yeah, dude, this is not a nice...
Nobody gives a shit. Like if you want a game or a movie to be real and like totally realistic, then go watch the news.
Go watch the news.
You know what I mean? Like this is entertainment.
If you're like in the history books and people are like, this should be more all-inclusive. No, you're a fucking idiot. I sided with you guys with that. Don't change history.
You can't change history.
No, it's education.
History is history.
Yeah, you watch the History Channel, and like suddenly your people are like yelling and crying about how there's no Asian representation in a medieval history lesson, right? It's like no.
Well, because you know what China was doing then? China was like, fuck that, we're minding our own business.
But you're playing the game. Gamers are wanting to be themselves in most of these type of experiences.
Yeah, that's true. And I always make myself.
Yeah, exactly. And for you to not give them the choice, or even worse, gave them that choice and took it away, it's not going to help the player's experience in all aspects of the world.
Yeah.
Right? So we have a few minutes left. We're making this a short one. I think we covered a lot of the commentary
from the article
attached to that one. Thank you for your views.
Yeah.
I hope you watched more than 5 minutes of that one because we actually covered a lot of what we're talking about right now. If you are haters, you probably aren't even watching to the end of this. All right?
That's okay. Look.
That's fine.
I have no problem with anybody having a differing opinion.
No.
I have no problem with constructive criticism. I have no problem.
/Blue Champs.
I have no problem if somebody takes what I say, fact check, and they're like, actually, Larry, you were wrong. It was X, Y, and Z. I'm the one that'll eat crow and be like, cool, because now whoever read this has the right information. Right. And the reason why we're even doing any of this is because we want to share both information and opinion. You know what I mean? That's how this show works. We take information and we offer opinion. Yeah. So if the information was wrong and therefore our opinion is based on something that was wrong, I completely welcome somebody or anybody or any group of people being like, well, let's fix the information part so then your opinion can be more honest or have more integrity, right? Cool. I have no problem with that relationship. Yeah. What bothers me is like scrolling through YouTube, sees title, jump straight to the comments. We can see.
5 minutes.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good. I mean, I'm not going to yell at the YouTube ocean of people and tell them how to act because that's not a fight I'll ever win.
You guys do your
research. But yeah. I will let you know.
On PC Gamer as like fake news. Like, you're an idiot. Why would they even lie? This is straight from the developer's mouth. Mm-hmm. That was being reported to the point where there was a follow-up article retracting all
the day after
saying some PR damage was made.
And how much of what was said in that article aligned with what we said in the video. Exactly. So like, I don't want to hear crickets now. Keep that same energy. Yeah. You know what I mean? From video 1, bring it back in video 2 where you have to eat crow.
Exactly.
I can at least respect somebody who was like, I fucked up, man. I can respect that because I have to do it too. I do it all the time. Exactly. Whenever I mess up, I fucked up. I'm sorry.
So this is at least a step, I think, on the other side to kind of come back and say, all right, we said too much. Yes, you did. So say as little as possible, generalize it, and say, hey, we are working on this. We're figuring it out, right? Don't say that we'd rather make more skins for this game that we're losing players with.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You want to sell copies, dude. There's a lot more colors that are playing your game, and it is a game.
Yeah.
Right? Enough of the historical accuracy. I want that out of my life. In video games, for God's sake. Come on. Where was a game that you ever played that you're like, have to?
No, dude. Like, if I take any game that I've enjoyed, and I was like, the skin color of this character makes me not enjoy the experience anymore. Yeah. That's never been me.
Take a look at your life.
It's never been me. Did that person still bust your ass with that combo though? Yeah. Right? Like even if Eddie Gordo was white, don't you still hate it when button mashers play Eddie Gordo? Like the gameplay doesn't change.
Not the colors.
You can make Eddie Gordo white, Chinese, freaking Indian, Haitian, doesn't matter. Yeah. Button mashers on Eddie Gordo is still gonna whoop your ass. Like the gameplay experience is the same.
Well, this pretty much is ending this hour. Please join us. We're gonna be right back in like 5-10 minutes with Kurt Papstein, a badass 3D character artist.
Shout out to Kurt.
And he's going to do a demo for us on one of his projects and show us how it's done.
Nice. The real way.
Years in the game industry. So all you haters not knowing that we're game developers.
I hope at this point Kurt
maybe learn something.
Owns stock in Pixelogic because I've never seen somebody with the skill in ZBrush that this guy has. For sure.
It's very exciting. We're gonna bring him on in like about 5 minutes.
All right.
So we're gonna go off and we're gonna come back on. So stay with us as we are exiting with a tagline.
Also, real quick, please donate to our earthquake relief fund.
Timing. Yeah. Watch that. I think the camera shook.
Yeah. All right, guys. So, when your crown falls out and you go back to the dentist to get it fixed, consider yourself recapped.
No.